He had more water than anyone in the village, and yet he was the thirstiest man there. Have you ever noticed how the more you protect what's yours, the more afraid you become of losing it? That fear whispers, "If I don't guard this, I'll have nothing." That was the fear that built him, and it was the fear that was about to break him. His name was Alexander, the wealthiest merchant in the village, the most prepared man anyone knew. While others spent recklessly during good seasons, he saved. While others trusted easily, he calculated. Brick by brick, coin by coin, Alexander built a life no one could take from him, or so he believed. The world had taught him that lesson early. No one rescues you when you fall. No one fills your cup when it's empty. You survive by thinking ahead, by thinking of yourself. And so, when the drought arrived and the village wells cracked into dust, Alexander felt something almost like relief. He had secured the only deep water source left. People lined up at his gate with desperate eyes and empty buckets. He kept the gate closed, not cruelly, calmly. "If I give it away," he told himself, "what will happen when it runs dry?" But at night, the silence grew louder. The marketplace that once buzzed with laughter now echoed hollow. The baker stopped singing while kneading dough. The blacksmith's hammer rang slower each day. Alexander noticed, he just pretended not to. Opening the gate meant risking everything he had worked for, and he had promised himself he would never be powerless again. At first, Alexander counted the buckets. 1 request, then 3, then 10 in a single morning. Each knock on his gate felt less like a plea and more like a threat, not to his water, to his control. He told himself the same story every day. "I earned this. I sacrificed for this. Where were they when I struggled?" The logic sounded clean, sensible, safe. But something didn't feel right. When he walked through the marketplace, conversations stopped. Not out of respect, out of distance. The neighbors who once greeted him warmly now avoided his eyes. The butcher weighed his meat without a word. The tailor stitched in silence. Coins secure, well full, yet something invisible was slipping through his fingers. At night, sleep abandoned him. He lay awake hearing sounds that weren't there. The scrape of empty buckets, the shuffle of tired feet, the dry cough of children. He tried to drown it out with numbers. Calculations, projections of how long the drought might last, how much water he could afford to spare. Fear is strange. The more you feed it, the larger it grows. He began checking the well twice a day, then 3 times, lowering the bucket, measuring the depth, staring at the waterline as if it might betray him. Each inch felt like a countdown. He stopped eating in the marketplace. He stopped attending gatherings. He told himself it was temporary. Respect, warmth, connection would return. But deep down, a quieter voice whispered something far more uncomfortable. What if the drought isn't what's drying this village out? One evening, as the sun sank low and painted the village in a tired orange glow, Alexander heard a faint thud outside his gate. Not knocking, not begging, just something falling. He almost ignored it. Almost. But something in the sound unsettled him. He stepped outside. A young boy lay beside the stone wall of his well, an empty bucket tipped over in the dust. The child wasn't crying, wasn't accusing. His lips were dry, his breathing shallow. He had simply run out of strength. Alexander froze. For a moment, his mind searched for logic. This isn't my responsibility. His parents should have prepared. I can't save everyone. But the words felt hollow, because Staring at that child, he didn't see a threat to his water. He saw the version of himself he used to be, small, powerless, dependent on someone else's mercy. And suddenly, the well behind him didn't feel like security. It felt like a wall he had built so high he had trapped himself behind it. And then he realized he wasn't protecting his future. He was slowly destroying the very community that gave his success meaning. Alexander didn't make a grand speech. He didn't gather the village. He didn't defend himself. He simply lifted the gate. The hinges creaked, as if even they were surprised. For a moment, no one moved. The villagers stood at a distance, uncertain, suspicious. Hurt people don't rush toward the one who withheld from them. Alexander felt it then, the fear he had been running from, the fear of loss. His hands trembled as he tied a rope to the bucket and lowered it into the well. He filled the first bucket himself, carried it to the boy's family. No words, just action. Something shifted. Not instantly, not magically, but slowly. Others stepped forward, carefully, hesitantly. Buckets were filled, water was shared, and Alexander waited. For panic, for regret, for the dread that his well would empty. It didn't come. Instead, something unfamiliar rose in his chest. Not fear, not pride, relief. The marketplace didn't revive overnight. Trust rarely does. But day by day, conversations returned, laughter returned, trade returned, and Alexander realized something profound. His wealth had never been the water. It had always been the people around it. For the first time, he felt full, not from keeping, but from sharing. True strength does not grow in isolation. It grows when you become someone others can rely on. That was the wealth that never runs dry.